Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. And if you found this video because you're typing something in YouTube like butt scooting instead of crawling, is it normal or is it a problem? If this is something that you're concerned about for your baby, then you're in the right place watching the right video, because I'm going to share with you all the different types of crawling and different ways of crawling. And I'm going to help you to understand some of the challenges that your baby will face in the future if your baby butt scoots instead of crawling on hands and knees. So you're definitely in the right place watching the right video. First of all, a little bit about me and who I am. My name is Cherrick Gordon. I've been a pediatric physical therapist for well over 25 years, and I show parents just like you how to use simple touch and movement to help your baby go from one motor milestone to the next as fast as possible. I show you how to use simple touch and movement to make your baby stronger and smarter. So let's get into it and talk about butt scooting and the different types of crawling. So the first type of crawling that you might notice your baby doing is what's called commando crawling. Now, commando crawling simply means that your baby is going to be crawling around on their tummy. Let me make sure I have my commando crawling video up. Where is our commando crawling video? All right, let's remove that one. Yes, so like I said, commando crawling is where baby is crawling with their stomach on the ground, in contact with the ground, and baby's just kind of inching themselves along, moving along to get toys out of their reach. Commando crawling is a fantastic way of crawling. There's nothing wrong with it. You can have your baby crawling like this all day long. This is totally fine, especially if baby just started moving around on their tummy. There's another type of crawling called inchworm crawling. So let me show you the inchworm crawling and what that looks like. This. Baby will put their hands. The next type of crawl is what's called the inchworm crawl. Now with the inchworm crawl, you'll notice your baby doing this. Baby will put their hands get up on their forearms, kind of inch their body forward like that, and then slide and inch forward, and just slide and inch forward. This is not a bad way to crawl. It's not the preferred way. I would prefer the baby to crawl doing more of the traditional hands and knees crawl, but it's a fairly decent way to crawl, and baby will kind of bring their body up and then kind of inch forward. Like I said, inch forward bit by bit in this manner, where they're using more of their upper body and not so much of their lower body. Up next, we have baby sliding backwards on their tummy, where baby would actually push on a toy and kind of scoot herself backwards rather than going forward, simply because her arms are stronger than her legs. And you see this kind of scooting backwards where she pushes up and then her legs kind of scoot out from under her, and baby winds up going backwards. When baby first starts crawling, don't be surprised if you see baby doing this type of crawling where baby actually starts crawling backwards rather than crawling forward. Of course, we have your classic hands and knees crawling, where baby is up on their hands and knees and baby is doing the quadruped crawl, where baby's moving one arm at a time, then the next arm, then the next leg, moving one arm, one leg, the next arm, the next leg, and just moving forward on their body. Up next, we have something called a bear crawl. The next type of crawling is what's called a bear crawl, where baby gets up, lifts their body up, and they're just on their hands and their toes and kind of moving along in this manner, where everything is up off the ground and baby is kind of in this position where they're moving along on their hands and actually on their feet. This way, baby is using a lot of core trunk strength. Baby needs to have quite a bit of core trunk strength in order to be able to maintain this position. And this is actually quite challenging for a baby to do. This is a rare way to crawl, and you don't see it very often. This way, baby will be moving forward and not have too much to worry about in terms of whether or not this is an abnormal way to crawl. It's just a different way for baby to move around. There's nothing wrong with this way. If your baby's crawling this way, you should have absolutely nothing to worry about. Up next is what's called a step crawl, where you might notice your baby doing something kind of like this, where baby has one leg up, the other leg down, both hands on the ground, and baby is moving forward in this way, where baby is kind of doing something like that, where they're step crawling. And this way, one of the things I don't like about this method of crawling is that this leg, the leg that is up, is usually quite a bit stronger than the leg that is down underneath. And baby is moving in this way. I don't like this method of crawling, and I try to pop this leg back down onto the knees while baby has their hands down on the ground as much as I can, in order to be able to get baby to do more of a traditional hands and knees crawl. Or what I'll do alternatively, I'll pop the other leg, the opposite leg, up and cue baby to continue crawling in this way, but using the opposite, her non-favorite leg. I find that this is a good way. I don't like to see any kind of asymmetry when baby is crawling. I don't like to see baby using one leg up like this and the other one down. If I can, I'll get baby to switch and bring that other leg up, and that way I know that baby is developing some balance between the right and left sides of their body. Up next is more of what's called bottom scooting, where baby will put their legs like this, sit upright, and then just kind of scooch along on her bottom, where she's using her legs, digging the heels into the ground and scooching kind of like this as she moves along the ground. Now, here's the thing I don't like about this kind of crawling, is that you're using both sides of your body to do one activity. A lot of times, these babies will have something in their hands while they're scooting along, so their hands are up off the ground. But this baby who is moving like this does not have a lot of core trunk strength. They just use a lot of momentum to get themselves to move, and it's not a very good way to move. Here's a tip that you can use. What I like to recommend to parents to do, if your baby is a bottom scooter and you're concerned about it, as you should be, I like to encourage parents to do this, to put some sort of an obstacle with a toy on top of it in baby's path. Now, as baby comes along and she is doing her bottom scooting, and she comes to the point where she gets to the object, now she can sit and play in this position and definitely reach for the toy. But I prefer to kind of put baby on their hands and knees and let her play with the toy in this position, and that will cause her to engage her trunk and get a little bit of pelvic stability, start bending those knees, and just not have her legs in front of her in this position. Now, another issue I have with the bottom scooting is that if a baby is crawling, bottom scooting, they come to an object, boom, 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 boom. And if she wants to try to stand, let's say baby bottom scoots to the couch. You know what? Let me move the camera and show you a baby bottom scooting to the couch and what the issue will be. If baby bottom scoots and comes over this way, and baby is bottom scooting, bottom scooting, bottom scooting, bottom scooting. She comes all the way to the couch. Now you're sitting like this. Both hands are up on the couch, and I'm trying to encourage her to come up and get a toy. You can see the challenge right here. It's very difficult for her to be able to come up into standing from this position. Whereas if a baby is crawling in the classic hands and knees, baby crawls, she puts one hand on the couch, then she puts the other hand on the couch, brings one leg up into this position here, and boop, you can sit behind your baby, pop her up into this position where she's standing, holding onto the couch, and now she can start cruising. This is an efficient way for baby to move, and that's why I don't like bottom scooting, because bottom scooting does not really put baby in a position where she's in a good position to stand. There's also another type of crawling called step scooting, and here's what a step scoot looks like. Baby will typically have this leg trapped under their leg like that, and using this leg and their hands to kind of scooch themselves along on the ground. And some people think it's cute and it's a little bit weird and it's a little bit quirky, and I see it on Instagram, on TikTok, all the parents coming out of the woodwork to tell me how, or tell other therapists how they turned out just fine and is perfectly normal. Everyone likes to throw around that word normal. But here's the thing. If you read deeper into the comments, you'll hear, the baby was perfectly normal, and then we wind up getting therapy when she was 2. We wind up getting therapy when she was 3. Okay, then it's not quite normal if you need therapy. Those two don't go together. Therapy is there to correct something or to address some sort of a delay. So stop with the comments of it's perfectly normal and address that, okay, you know what? Something's off with this type of movement, and let's go ahead and get it together and get the referral that's necessary and get the necessary therapy. Another type of movement that baby used to get from one place to the next is just rolling over. There are babies that roll over and over and over and over and over again until they get all the way across the room and pull up on a piece of furniture or something like that. So that is another way of moving. So to wrap things up, let's go ahead and come back to this baby who is butt scooting out of the room. Now you can see she's doing a side butt scoot, and she is scooting. She's got something in one hand. She's scooting. She's leaning over, all the way over on one butt cheek and scooting herself along on the floor. Let's look at that again, along on the floor. And this baby and babies who move like this end up having a couple of challenges. Later on, first of all, they tend to walk late. They tend to be late walkers, and they sometimes wind up not walking until they are around 18, 19 months. And they also, once they do start walking, they end up becoming very unstable, and they wind up having a lot of balance issues when they're walking around. This particular baby had a lot of issues with maintaining her balance once she actually started walking, and she did not start walking until she was almost 2 years old. So that's something to definitely keep in mind if your baby is a bum scooter and not a classic crawler. All right, that's all I have for you folks today. If you got value from this video, please consider liking it, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with anyone else whose baby is a bum scooter and you are concerned about them. So I will see you in the next video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.